Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you. How are you today? I am so happy and grateful to be here today. And I am so glad to be here because I've got another guest. And this guest is an amazing person with amazing message. So I hope that you're ready and to hear his message. But I also want us to actually know why we're here in this platform called Soul Purpose Leaders. This is a platform where you don't need yellow pages anymore. You don't need to go to online and look for one person at a time. You can come to this platform and look for exactly who you want to talk to, because I've got amazing leaders, speakers, mentors, coaches, authors, network marketers. I've got all kind of leader you could think of. But the most important thing here is that they work for the sake of actually learning from themselves and also sharing that knowledge to everyone else. So it's not just about the money. Here it's about bigger picture, and that is living imprint in this world. So yes, I created this because of the isolation and the lockdown that started last year. And this is the kind of push that made me to just like, you know what? People needs us, and people need to see us in our light, but also we need to actually share what is about us and where we come from and who we are as a person and what we do for those people. And this is the place just for that. So today I have amazing speaker. His name is Neil Shamra, and if I said his name wrong, he'll correct me. Stevens. He's a founder, advisor, and people strategist, focusing on well-being and productive in the workplace, especially for the next generation of leadership. He draws on over 20 years of experience. It doesn't look that old, trust me, as a CMO slash VP. He'll tell us all about that, don't worry, with Fortune 500 brands and corporation, including Converse, Vans, Levi's, and Polaroids. This experience has highlighted the importance of putting people first and encouraging them to be their best selves, both individually and collectively as a team. He believes in the importance of people to be seen, to be heard, and to be valued, and has created bespoke programs and strategies to enable leaders to achieve this whilst working remotely. Oh, we need that at the moment. He enables this through practice in kindness, gratitude, momentum, and resilience, which are the founding principles of Mercury Jam. He is business consultancy. Originally from the UK, his career path has enabled him to collect life and work experience along the way across Europe, Asia, and USA. Neil believes in simplicity and encourage the principle of working from anywhere. I I mean it, anywhere. From working from anywhere from sorry, and currently lives in and runs Mercury Jam from houseboat in Amsterdam. So if you see him going that way and that way because of the wind today, okay, so it's going to be fun, and he will tell us exactly where and how you can find him in Amsterdam, guys. Okay, so he'll tell us all about that. Now, Neil, please join us to this amazing platform and tell us. You said that you were from UK. Tell us your journey when you were younger. How was it like?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Mbake, for having me as a guest on the platform. I was just sitting listening, and I always forgot I was a guest. I was so wrapped up with your enthusiasm and energy. I was like, oh yeah, it's me. I've got to speak. So thank you. It's a wonderful platform that you've created, and I'm really happy to be here. So yeah, originally I'm from the UK. I grew up in Hertfordshire, but I've been really fortunate to as you mentioned, worked for some amazing brands, some sort of Fortune 500 brands, and that's enabled me to live and work and travel, in all over the world, and have some amazing sort of life experiences and work experiences as well. And the thing that I've always been interested in, and especially in the last few years, is that these brands like Converse or Vans, amazing brands, have this kind of cool image, cool perception, but it was really the people, and it was working with teams, working with individuals, and just helping people enable themselves to be sort of their best on their best day. And that's what really excited me. And over the last few years, I've really discovered that as my why, as my real passion. And that's what I want to do now. So you mentioned in the intro that I was a CMO, I was a chief marketing officer, I was a vice president of marketing. So I was able to work in some fairly senior positions in marketing roles within these companies. But where I want to put my focus now is really on the next generation of leaders, because I think that's an area where people need some help and encouragement and support, and that's where I really want to try and help and give back. So that's sort of my mission, if you will.
That's an amazing mission, and I love that, because a lot of us lately, we want to help and we want to make a difference in this world, but then at the same time we sometimes get stuck within ourselves. We get to that point that do I have enough experience, or do I have enough to actually start something? So what would you say for yourself in your own journey, in knowing that you actually, oh my goodness, vice president, and you are doing all this work and everything? How are you shifting, from there to where you are right now in having your own business, and say, no, I'm going to do something different? Because it is different. It's totally different in a way that you're wanting to help the next generation. You are more fun for them to be like, oh, come on, if I was the one with having all those brands and having all those shoes and, what I mean, to having the life, why would you give that up? So please tell us.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, but I mean, it's shoes is one thing, but helping people is something else. And I think it's really important right now, where people are looking for information. They're really looking for support out there. And I realize that that's probably where I can put my attention and passion and energy. And I think that there's a couple of things that personal things that happened to me that I think really triggered my decision, and maybe I can just share those, because I think it's certainly relevant for me, and I think it might help other people to understand their own situation. And it's they say there are 4 major stress triggers in life, which is losing a job, the bereavement of a family member, marriage or divorce, and moving house. And I experienced all 4 of those in 12 months in the middle of the pandemic. And what that really showed me or taught me was the importance of kindness, was the importance of gratitude and resilience and momentum. And those are the principles that I used to start my business, to start Mercury Jam. And I think sometimes everything needs to kind of completely fall apart and completely unravel sometimes to find out where you're truly meant to be. Because the energy that I get with the work that I do, helping to shine the light on the next generation, I find so rewarding, and I've really found my why. And I think sometimes not everybody has to kind of experience sort of personal pain or whatever it is, but just looking at themselves and thinking about what is my true authentic self? How can I bring that forward in the work that I do in the workplace? and what is it that I can do to build on? And I think that there's a couple of exercises that I encourage people to do. And I do a lot of mentorship as well. I have a lot of mentees from literally all over the world. I've spoken to people as part of this program. It's called the 30-Minute University of Planning. And I've spoken to people in South Africa, in Nigeria, in Italy, in all over Europe and the US. And one thing I always ask people to focus on, I say, what is your superpower? Because each and every one of us has a superpower, probably more, but one superpower that I think just really focus on that. So is it about being curious? Is it about listening? Is it about creative writing? Is it about joining the dots of an idea and then sharing that with people? Everybody has something. And if you focus on that and start to think about, what is my value? What is my worth? Then you can start to build on your self-image, your self-worth, and your value, because I think a lot of people have doubts about their ability. And I think it's something that I like to say, I don't help people, I shine the light, because people help themselves. You know, you're not, when I do coaching or mentoring, it's the mentee that does the work. You like ask the questions and put it this way or that. And what you're trying to do, you're trying to draw it out of people. And I think that's the difference. And when you give people the confidence to stand up, to talk, to share and go, I am that this is me, this is who I am, it really empowers people. And that's a building block to move on to the next thing. So that's something that I try and encourage people to do within this next generation, because there is so much doubt and uncertainty.
Oh my goodness, Neil, you're just hitting me with everything that you got. It just makes me feel like, oh, hold on a second, Neil, you're going too fast for me, you know?
Okay.
This is the thing. Now, you've said about your superpower. That is a huge thing for a person to know their superpower. Now, when a person, can you please, I'm going to dissect it, guys, for you, okay? I have to make it easy because I understand he's talking a lot of the information. I'm just like, oh my goodness. But
I get excited. I'm sorry. I get excited.
I know. No. Don't ever apologize. Don't ever apologize. I love it. Because you're making me to actually do my, to do my job well. Yeah. So I'm here. I'm doing my job now. I'm doing it. So,
okay.
Neil, tell us, when a person comes, like right now, they're listening or they're watching this, yeah, and they're thinking, okay, you ask a great question there. What is my superpower? You know what I mean? And they're just like, I have no idea what that is. You know what I'm saying? And you said yourself is that you either listening skill, you did give us an example, but tell us, because next generations, they are people, especially for the youth, that they don't know what they want or they don't know who they are in themselves. Can you share a little bit of how did maybe they need to, what question they need to ask themselves, or how can they find that out? Can you share that with us, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and it's a tricky one, because I think there is a lot of pressure on young people to kind of conform. There are ideal standards of how people should look or behave or things like that, and a lot of it comes from a very stylistic, idealized view, particularly on social media. I think there's some plus points of social media, but I think there's some negatives. And it's this idea of everything has to be 100%. Everything has to be about perfection. When the reality is that, 80% is good enough. When you're trying something, you can get to 80%. If you try and always get to 100%, try and get to perfection, you just get in the way of yourself, and that stops you from starting. And so I think just understanding your true value and your true worth, that 80% is good enough. And that extra 20%, when you're trying to start something, that's your wiggle room. You can kind of pivot this way or that way, like I am on the boat, And I think just realizing that you can get to that point that you are good enough. You are your authentic self, nobody else. You are you. So taking those exercises, taking time just to reflect on what are the things that you are really passionate about, what you enjoy, what are your ambitions, because it really comes from within. No one's going to tell you, or people might say, hey, you're really good at this, or you're really good at that. But if that's not your choice, then you need to listen to yourself and figure out, well, what is it that I want to do for myself, for my one life? What is it that I want to do? And I think the listening thing, for example, I mean, if you're in the workplace, a lot of people listen to answer. You know, they're waiting for someone like blah 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 blah, and then they stop and go, so I think this, or I think that's not listening. That's just listening to talk. Whereas I think if you listen to sort of really listen to like the last 2 or 3 things that somebody said, or the last few words, oh, so if I hear you, then you said, you know, today is Thursday and it's a windy day. My perspective on this is, yes, for this time of year, it is kind of windy, but tomorrow the sun will shine. I'm making it up. And then what you're doing, you're kind of listening to the last person, but you're also giving your point of view. And that builds confidence in yourself. And then they think, Neil or whomever, they do have a point of view. And I think it's helping the next generation, helping young people to have a point of view for themselves is really important.
Now, Neil, let's go to this aspect of nowadays it's so hard for young people to actually share who they are. Nobody's listening to them. Nobody is actually wanting to understand them. They just feel like, who cares? End of the day, that attitude of, you know what I mean? And having this, you know, being as a leader and wanting to, making going to these places, talking to the next generation and actually making a difference. Now, a lot of them, like you said there before, that the self-blame or the not seeing in their own true power, not knowing what they've got inside of them and seeing or building, and you are here to give that strategies and programs on how they can have or how they can achieve to be the leaders in themselves. And so please, can you share with us when I won't say child, I would say the youth or the next generation, the person, because they are becoming adults, they're going into adulthood now. So can you share with us, if they're in that time of nobody's listening, nobody's paying attention to me, nobody cares. Now, and they look at themselves and they don't like what they see because it's all about they're blaming maybe themselves, or maybe they're going through some difficulties. What would you share with them today?
I would recognize that life is hard. Life is difficult. A good friend of mine often says that life is a bad hand played well. It's not all sunshine and roses. It's not all doom and gloom either. And I would just say that there are times and moments in your life where you will have doubts, and particularly there are certain life stages, whether it's going from a teenager to an adult, or getting your first job, or your second, or you're moving up. And I think just practicing gratitude, I think, is an exercise that is really rewarding. And again, it's really hard for some people to go, well, what's gratitude? What's it? And it's just really appreciating like the simple things that you have around you and being present. And I think that an exercise that people can try and do at whatever stage of life they're at is, before you go to bed, if you think about 3 things that you're grateful for in that day, or that have happened before you go to bed, and then when you wake up in the morning, as soon as you open your eyes, don't reach for that mobile phone, leave it over there, and just think about 3 things that you're really grateful for in the moment, in that day, or maybe something that's going to happen. Because if you start to think about that and appreciate what you have in your life, it starts to shift your mindset. And because self-doubt, self-belief is a mindset. And if you work on it, that's why these things are called practices, because you have to work on it day by day, taking those exercises in gratitude. And I think especially now where we're all on Zoom calls, we're all busy, we're going from one thing to another. Can you take a few moments for yourself? Maybe take a little coffee, maybe just look out of the window, change your perspective. You know, I always say that if just by moving slightly your perspective, it can make the difference between looking at a wall and looking out of a window. You know, it's just try it. And I think it's these small little practices, these small steps that I would encourage young people and the next generation to look at. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not like wave a magic wand, here's some pixie dust, it's all going to change. It's by practicing gratitude and practicing these small steps every day. That's what I would recommend.
I love that because I wish it was, you know, like the fairy dust will come and it will make sure everything goes the way we want it and everything is going to be okay. But it's not like that. That's not real life. So, and it's true what you said. It's all about repetition. It's all about repeating what you're doing. The 3 good things, yes, that's a first step to start. Because a lot of people, when you tell them, tell me what you're grateful for, and they're like, and they just like, I don't know. So if you start with the 3 and then keep adding more, that will be like, wow. At the end of the week, you'll be like, wow, I have a lot of things to be grateful for. So thank you for that, you know, insight of being grateful and have that gratitude in your life, especially when you go to sleep and when you wake up as well. Now, you also touched about kindness and about resilience. Can you please share more about those areas?
Sure. I mean, I think kindness is a human trait. I mean, it's something that we should practice every day. I mean, you often hear these sort of conversations about random acts of kindness, and I think in the workplace, when you have a calm, safe, secure environment, people do feel secure. They feel like they are supported. They feel like they can try things. They feel like they can, you know, maybe take risks because you've got their support. And kindness enables that. It allows people to do that. And when you have a calm, safe environment, you build trust, you build loyalty, you reduce absenteeism and burnout. And it's a positive choice because kindness is a strength. It's not a weakness. I mean, I've had this conversation so many times, like, what's kindness got to do with business? You know, we're all about numbers and strategy and revenue and growth and all this kind of stuff. And you go, yeah, okay. But it's also about human connection. You know, you have to talk to one another. You have to work with one another, whatever part of the business you're in. I mean, it's funny. People, you know, people are the people that do the work. If you don't value your people, what do you have? You have a name or an idea, but nothing happens without your people. And that's why kindness is so important. And the opposite of that, if you have a toxic work environment, and sadly, there's a lot of those out there. And there are often I have to kind of pull out statistics to make a point because people go, kindness, yeah, what's that all about? And the average cost for when an employee leaves or burns out because of a toxic culture is 100,000 euros per person on average, per person. So that's about recruitment costs, that's lost, you know, productivity with the team, it's all these different things. Now, if you have one toxic person in a company, big company, and they make 5 people leave or 10 people leave, do the maths. That's like 500,000 euros or €1 million a year, because someone you've tolerated this toxic culture. So kindness is a smart choice. You know, it's not a weakness, it's a strength, because it builds, moving on to resilience, it builds resilience within a team as well. When everybody is focusing in the same way, when everyone feels secure, you can, that's when the magic happens, you know. And I've been fortunate to work in teams where people do feel like they've got each other's backs, and you can try things and you can explore and try new things and innovative things, and it makes a real difference. Nobody, you know, I always say nobody ever had a good idea whilst being chased by a tiger. You know, people are scared. Yeah, no, that's not a good idea. Really? At work? You know, you're laughing, but it's true. You know, sometimes you have to say these things to make a point, but living in fear at work, people being, you know, shouting, being put down, who wants to work like that? You know? So that's the power of kindness. And that's what I'm trying to instill in people, inspiring people as well.
Neil, what you're saying, it's like when I was working in what do you call it, in companies, and I've seen that a lot. And I wish there was someone like you, because I've seen that management who doesn't care about their own people and treating people in a very bad way. Like, if you don't like it, there's a door. And that's the attitude. And it's so sad, because the people who really wants to make a difference, they really want to shine, but they can't because of that. And it's true what you're saying. It's, if you think of that analogy of, you know, living like you scared, you coming to work and you're just scared, and you are actually just there because you want to actually pay your rent and you want to feed your children, but they don't think like that. So for me, I'm not ranting. I'm just like, really, we need people like you. And I've been meeting lately a lot of people who want to work with the workplace, because for me, it pushed me away from working in the companies. And I was like, no, I'm not going to let anyone bully me. I'm going to be my own boss. Now, I choose to do that. But at the same time, it's sad because I left, but if someone like myself who don't do something about it, then what about the other person who comes in and work there? So seeing people like you, I am so happy, and I'm applauding you to do what you're doing, because we need people like you. In a workplace, there should be humanity, there should be kindness, and they needed it, because like you said, it's not just about the numbers. It's not just about the strategies and what they think, but also acknowledging your workers. I'm sorry, I used to see it like even the little people, they are the machine that makes that business grow. But people, I used to be like, you need these people, you know what I mean? And I was like, I should be maybe working in HR, or I should be working in these places, because I want to fight for them. And I used to hurt me. So seeing you as a solution now, as a solution based. So thank you, Neil, for actually opening up and going to these places, to especially companies, big companies I'm talking about, and to teach, because we need them. Come on, all of us, a lot of people lost their jobs because of pandemic. And now they're thinking of going to work, or they're thinking of applying for that job. And maybe they are doubting themselves. And maybe they are going through, do I want to do this? But they have no choice. They have to feed their family, and they have to look after themselves. What would you share with them, because of the way of life and everything? And you actually enable people to actually practice kindness, gratitude, and having that resilience. What message would you like to share with people right now?
I think that, well, firstly, just when you said about like the little people in the company, I would challenge that, because there's everybody is important. It doesn't matter what you do. You described it as a machine. Everybody has a role, no matter where they are. If they're the CEO, if they are the, I don't know, the receptionist, whoever, everybody has a part to play in that company. So that's the first thing that I would say. And I think that what I'm trying to do, my message to people is that I really feel it's so important to make sure that people are seen, that they're heard, and that they're valued. And as a leader, that is the number one thing that you should be focusing on with your team every day, particularly on a Zoom call. Sitting there going, I see you, I hear you, I value you. And if we can all start practicing kindness and reaching out to one another and saying, I see you, I hear you, I value you, it will lift everybody up. And I think it's tough right now. It is a once in a generation, once in a lifetime situation with this pandemic. It's hard. And people do need to feed their families. They do need to, deliver on their job and do their tasks. But enabling people to be seen and heard and valued, and if we could all be a little kinder to one another, that would be the message that I would leave for the world today and every day.
Thank you, Neil. And it is amazing topic, and we can go on and talk about this for days. Now, I would love to ask you, would you be willing to join us next time as well in this platform?
I mean, I love talking to you. So yeah, the short answer is yes. Well, what would I need to do? Yes, it's amazing. What can we talk about?
That's the secret. So you have to wait.
Oh. Okay, I always believe in 80% is good enough. So I've got 80% of the information and I can find out the other 20% later. So I would, yeah, let's say yes and see where the conversation goes. I'm curious. You've piqued my interest. I don't know what I'm signing up for, but let's see.
I love it. That's a great answer. Richard Branson, that's the way he said it. It's like every time anything comes your way, say yes before you know what it is and how you can prepare yourself. And that's the best thing. So thank you for that. And I would also want to ask you that, where can we find you, Neil?
Okay, so apart from on my rocky houseboat in Amsterdam, you can find me on my website, which is mercuryjam.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, and my full name is Neil Schambra Stevens. And I'm also on Instagram at Mercury_Jam.
That's great. And for everybody else, don't worry about it. I will actually put it into the description. So you don't have to keep going back to the video and check it again, but you can. It's allowed, actually. You can do that. But Neil, it's been a pleasure having you in this platform. And I would like to ask you, do you have any last words for us today?
I think well, the four things that I always talk about is kindness, gratitude, momentum, and resilience. And to practice kindness, to practice gratitude, to keep the momentum going and keep resilient, I think that's something that we can all help one another with every day. But it starts with yourself. If you can start believing in yourself and your true worth, and then that will help and enable others. If you're not 100% your best, you can't help others. So believe in yourself and start with yourself would be my last words for today.
And that's amazing words, because end of the day, it's actually impacting everyone, and being yourself is the first ticket to being anything you want to be in this world, or accomplish anything in this world. for everybody else, I am so happy and I'm so grateful. Guys, I'm so excited to have this man here today. And I just can't wait, okay? So let's not tell him everything about what's good to come. But let's make it a surprise. But I promise you, you're going to see him again. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be amazing time as well. So I cannot wait. So for everybody else, I am saying goodbye for today. But guess what? I'll be back with the next guest. So make sure it's not you, yeah? Get ready. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.